Here are the best tips and tricks for the Go Fest Max Finale event this weekend. If you want to know what's going down, highly recommend you watch this video or link below. Now, first of all, of course, Eternatus is going to be making its debut during the Go Fest Max Finale, August 23rd and 24th. But how good is it? Well, Eternatus is going to be a poison and dragon type Pokemon. And unless you're in Anaheim and you got it early this weekend, you'll be getting it on rank 60 of the Go Pass. Then Eternatus in the Eternamax form will be available in max battles that you can complete this weekend, but when you defeat it, you'll only get candy. Well, that one Eternatus you do get will have an attack of 278, HP of 268, and defense of 192, with a max CP at level 50 as a hundo of 5007. For fast moves, it can learn Dragon Tail and Poison Jab, and for charge moves, Sludge Bomb, Dragon Pulse, Flamethrower, and Dynamax Cannon. Now, you will not be able to use Eternatus in the Eternamax form. It'll only be available in regular form, but it can be used in max battles, in PvP, in raids, all across the board. As far as in raid battles go, for being a poison and dragon type Pokemon, it's going to be the top meta. With Poison Jab and Sludge Bomb, it will be the #1 poison type attacker in Pokemon Go with a DPS of 16. And this is insane, but with Dragon Tail and Dynamax Cannon, its signature move, it will be the #1 dragon type attacker. Yes, dealing more damage than Mega Rayquaza. It'll have a DPS of 18 and an insane TDO of 739. So this thing is an absolute beast in both the types, and by no means is it not good. However, it will take 8,900 candies and XL candies to max out to level 50. I was in LA here and I actually just caught mine yesterday. The IVs suck, but as you can see, look, this thing is not cheap to power up, and even to unlock your max moves and max them out, it's 320 XLs and 2,800 candies. This thing is hard to get, but it is strong. It's also available to use in max battles, and similar to Crown Sword, Zacian, and Zamazenta, it will not Dynamax, but it can use its moves and all that stuff, and it is pretty strong there too. Now, do note you cannot remove the Dynamax Cannon moveset off of Eternatus, but as far as PvP goes, it's actually going to be good as well. Now, ranked in the Ultra League 231, so not as good, but in the Master League, looking at a rank 8. This is the first poison type meta Pokemon we're really getting since Nihilego, I guess you could say, and definitely picks up some matchups. However, I will say the way the Master League meta is framed out right now with all the steel types makes it a little tough for this Pokemon. But nonetheless, the moveset Dragon Tail, Dynamax Cannon, and Flamethrower, you can beat 18 of the top 31 Master League Pokemon. Now, it also has an adventure effect. This Pokemon has a lot going for it. With the signature move Dynamax Cannon, an adventure effect you can use for 5,000 Stardust and 30 Eternatus candies for 10 minutes, and which will temporarily raise the level of your max attack move. So if you have a Pokemon with the max attack level 1, it'll go to 2 when the adventure effect is active, but if your max attack is level 3, the max level, you can technically go to 4. So this Pokemon is going to increase your damage output for any max battles you want to do if you activate that adventure effect. For example, Gigantamax Pokemon, max attacks will go from a base damage of 450 to 550. That's a big jump. Nonetheless, this Pokemon is strong, but after doing all the math to power up this Pokemon to level 50, unlock all of its max moves, and power up to the max level all the moves, it's going to take 16,900 candies and 9,860 XL candies. Now, there will be a lot of candy drops. You're getting like 100 XL candies per battle you do based on what we did last night. Based on the math, it's going to take around 160 Eternatus battles to get the candy to power to level 50. But if you do pay 200 coins, you can double that and it'll only take 80 battles. But still, that is insane. This Pokemon is not going to be for everyone to get because it is super, super expensive. The power creep is crazy. But that's not all. We have every single Gigantamax Pokemon returning to Pokemon Go during this week. But you might not want to go after all of these bosses. So which ones are the best to focus on? Well, in day 1, we have GMAX Lapras, which is the only Gigantamax Pokemon with an ice type GMAX move. It's not the strongest, but it will be useful against things like GMAX Flapple and Appletun in the future. It's also a very solid tank Pokemon. GMAX Snorlax is in there, which is specifically good against ghost type max bosses like Gengar, as it can be a great tank role for that. GMAX Gengar is in there, which is one of the only Gigantamax Pokemon that knows a ghost type GMAX move and is the best max attacker for the ghost type. It'll be good against GMAX Hatterene, GMAX Orbeetle in the future. You can also Mega Evolve this to have a Mega Gengar, and regular Gengar is a good ghost type attacker as well. GMAX Inteleon is in there, which is the #1 water type GMAX attacker in Pokemon Go. This will change when we get GMAX Rapid Strike Urshifu, but for now it's very strong, good against future things like GMAX Colossal, Sandaconda, and Centiskorch. Inteleon is also ranked 28 with Water Gun and Surf as a water type attacker, and when it gets Hydro Cannon in the future, it will climb to become a top water type. GMAX Machamp is going to be the top fighting type attacker in Pokemon Go, very useful against future bosses like GMAX Duraludon, Dreadnought, Eevee, Melmetal, a bunch of them weak, and Machamp is the number 21 fighting type attacker currently in Pokemon Go. Great Pokemon as well to use to take down gyms. GMAX Toxtricity is going to be available as well, in which both forms have no difference, but this is the number 1 electric type max attacker in Pokemon Go. Good against future things like GMAX Corviknight, Dreadnought, Rapid Strike Urshifu. On day 2, you have GMAX Rillaboom, which is the number 1 grass type Dynamax attacker in Pokemon Go. Good against things like Dreadnought, GMAX Sandaconda, and GMAX Rapid Strike Urshifu. Rillaboom is also number 10 grass type attacker currently in the game, and when it gets Frenzy Plant, it'll be even better. GMAX Blastoise is in there, which Blastoise is a great tank Pokemon for the water, ice, and fire type bosses. Also, Blastoise has a Mega Evolution, which is pretty strong in Pokemon Go. GMAX Cinderace is in there, which is the number 1 fire type max attacker currently in the game. Good against future things like GMAX Melmetal, Corviknight, Orbeetle, etc. Also, when it gets its Community, it will get Blast Burn, in which Cinderace will become a top fire type attacker. As far as the best wild spawns going down during the event, we do have a couple. This event isn't crazy for the wild spawns, but Bulbasaur is appearing, which you can evolve into Venusaur, because Venusaur has the number 2 grass type Mega Evolution in the game. Also good to grind candies for Gigantamax Venusaur. Charmander is also in there, which evolves into Charizard. Charizard has 2 Mega Evolutions, Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y, so you can get a good IV. Mega Charizard Y is actually the number 1 fire type attacker in the game. Also, again, a good opportunity to grind candies for Gigantamax Charizard, which is the 2nd best fire type max attacker in the game. Squirtle's also in there, which evolves into Blastoise. Good opportunity to grind candies for the GMAX Blastoise, and also Blastoise's Mega Evolution is not bad. Blastoise is also good in PvP, currently ranked 71 in the Great League and 41 in the Ultra League. Grookey's also in there, which evolves into Rillaboom. Gigantamax Rillaboom is the number 1 grass type attacker currently in the game, and we already mentioned Rillaboom being a good raid attacker. Scorbunny's also in there, which again, a good opportunity to grind candies for the GMAX Cinderace, and also good to get some good IVs for the future Scorbunny Community when you can evolve it to get Blast Burn. Sobble's also in there, which is a good opportunity to grind candies for GMAX Inteleon, and you can hold on to your Sobbles until again a future Sobble Community to get Hydro Cannon Inteleons. Ghastly's also appearing, which could evolve into Gengar. Mega Gengar is the number 2 ghost type attacker currently in the game. Good opportunity to grind candies for that. Also good opportunity to grind candies for Gigantamax Gengar if you need those. And finally, if you actually trade a Ghastly and then evolve it all the way up into Gengar, evolving it from Haunter to Gengar is completely free, making it a good way to grind XP because you get 1000 XP every time you evolve a Pokemon, and you would technically be evolving these for free. Chansey's also appearing in the wild, which Dynamax Blissey is one of the best tanks in max battles, so you can grind candies for this Pokemon. Also, Chansey and Blissey are top gym defenders in the game. Sableye, the GOAT, getting you 750 Stardust per catch. If you see Sableyes in the wild, highly recommend you go ahead and catch those. Also, in the Open Great League, Sableye is ranked 64, and Sableye does have a Mega Evolution to grind a candies for that, although the Mega is not that good. Beldum's also appearing in the wild, in which Metagross is a top Steel and Psychic type attacker currently in the game. Metagross also does have a Mega Form in the future, which will most likely come soon, and Metagross is a good tank Pokemon for the Dynamax battle, so a good Pokemon to grind candies for that. Metang in the middle stage is also ranked 60 in the Open Great League, and Metagross ranked 22 in the Open Master League, so overall, very good Pokemon. Darumaka is in there as well, which Dynamax Darmanitan is an amazing Pokemon, so it's a good opportunity to grind candies for Dynamax Darmanitan, which is a top fire type Dynamax attacker. Darmanitan is also the number 23 fire type attacker currently in the game. Trubbish is finally also in the wild, which gets you 750 Stardust every time you catch it, so good opportunity to grind Stardust through the Trubbish. And also Garbodor, its evolution does have a Gigantamax variant, which might come in the future, so good opportunity to grind candies and XL candies for that. Trubbish is also actually in the field research task, so every time you get a field research task to get you encounter with Trubbish, I would recommend running from it. If you run from it, it will get put in your stack tasks, which is a list of 100 tasks that you can hold on to these encounters for a later date. The date I would wait would be an event where you have 2 or 3 times catch Stardust, in which instead of giving 750 Stardust, you'll get 1500 Stardust for catching those Trubbishes. So run from them when you encounter them, put them in your stack tasks, and then you can go ahead and encounter them at a later date. I'll update you here on the channel when that event is. Now, raids. Are we focusing on raids during the event? Well, not everybody is into Dynamax, so I would highly recommend, if you want to focus on the raids, we have the Costume Pikachu and Phalanx. These Pokemon will probably never return again, so if you didn't get their shinies yet, this is your opportunity to get them. Although, again, raiding for the shinies, it's going to cost you a lot of money because the rates are pretty high. What you would really probably focus your raid passes on if you missed them are Crown Sword, Zacian, and Zamazenta. This is another chance for you to get Crown Sword and Crown Shield energy so you can form change your Zacians and Zamazentas, and these Pokemon are meta relevant. Do note you need Iron Head on these Pokemon to fuse them, but you can just get that with a regular TM. But nonetheless, Zamazenta will be the number 1 Steel type attacker in Pokemon Go, and Zacian the number 2 overall. Both of these Pokemon are also meta relevant relevant in the Master League, with Zamazenta being the number 1 Pokemon and Zacian the number 2. So these Pokemon are overall insanely good. These Pokemon are also very useful in max battles as they are top attackers for the Steel type. And Zamazenta has a cool ability where if you unlock Max Guard on it, it comes with a free shield right at the start. So these Pokemon are amazing tank Pokemon. They're amazing attacker Pokemon. Overall, arguably some of the most useful Pokemon overall in the game right now. So if you don't have them, get them. Now, during this whole event, I would highly recommend you follow these candy tips to get more candy for all these Pokemon, because you're going to need to power up a lot. We already see how much candy you need for Eternatus. So every time you catch a Pokemon, use a Pineapple or a Silver Pineapple Berry. Pineapples will double your catch candy. Silvers will 2.34 times your catch candy. Also, anytime you Mega Evolve a Pokemon, any Pokemon you catch that shares a type with the Mega, you'll get more candy, XP, and XL candy for catching Pokemon of that type. What Mega should we Mega Evolve during this event? I would focus on one of these two, either Primal Kyogre or Primal Groudon, mainly because they're going to hit 3 different types of Pokemon, unlike Megas, which only hit 2 because they boost like the weather they're about. Anyway, Primal Kyogre will give you more catch candy in the wild for Squirtle, Sobble, Caterpie, Shuckle, Kabuto, Omanyte, Pikachu, Lapras, Inteleon, Toxtricity, Butterfree, Kingler, and Blastoise. I guess a couple GMAX Pokemon in there. Primal Groudon will give you more candies for Bulbasaur, Charmander, Grookey, Scorbunny, Darumaka, Venusaur, Rillaboom, and Cinderace. Primal Groudon will also be great Pokemon to use against the Crownzor, Zacian, and Zamazenta raids. Those will be my main 2, but I will say it really depends on what your hunt is. If you're going to be doing a lot of raids for Zacian, for example, Mega Evolve a Fairy type, like have that Mega active. If you're going after Zamazenta, Mega Evolve a Fighting type. But if you just want one Mega, set it and forget it. Those are one of the 2 I would go with. Also, trade away Pokemon. Every time you trade away a Pokemon, you'll get a candy and a 10% chance of an XL candy. If the distance where those 2 Pokemon were caught is between 10 and 100 kilometers, you'll get 2 candies and a 25% chance of an XL candy. If it is a trade distance over greater than 100 kilometers, you'll get 3 candies and a guaranteed XL candy. So holding on to any of the wild spawns, any of the Dynamax Pokemon you catch during this event, whatever, trade them away to grind candies for them. But the number 1 way to grind candies during this event is actually stationing Pokemon at power spots. This event is max battle heavy, and every time you station a Pokemon at power spot, it'll give a damage boost to anyone who attacks that power spot, which is amazing for them. But also, every time somebody defeats the power spot, you'll get 1 candy for the Pokemon you dropped in. So I would highly recommend in your battle party, always have the Pokemon or 1 Pokemon that you're going to be dropping into power spots, because you can only drop in Pokemon in power spots that you use in a max battle. Then this can be an amazing way for you to go ahead and grind candies, because people are going to be taking on a bunch of max battles. You can then recall these Pokemon and restation them at another power spot once you've gotten your max of 5 candies during this event. One of the bonuses of the Go Fest Max Finale Pass as well is that you'll be getting more rewards from stationing Pokemon at power spots. Don't know what this means at all, but it could mean that we're getting XL candies. So overall, it just goes to show that putting Pokemon at power spots after every max battle you do is essential. And once you get your 5 candies, recall them through the menu. Also, do remember, when you do catch your Eternatus from the rank 60, highly recommend you have a max level Poison Mega and use a Silver Pineapple Berry. This will get you 16 Eternatus catch candies. Very little, but anyway, very essential, especially for the only 1 Eternatus you get, because you want as much candies as you can. Now you need 35 Platinum Medals, go from level 48 to 49 in Pokemon Go. Go Fest is always an amazing time to work on this. Which one should you work on? Obviously, I'm just going to point out all the type medals here. If any of these you haven't completed, you have to catch 2,500 of every type of Pokemon. If you see that Pokemon spawning in the wild, like, just catch it. Rising Star Medal, there are different species of Pokemon in raids. If you've never raided that species before, raid it once to get 1 point towards your Rising Star Medal, where you have to defeat 150 different species. Obviously, if you're doing battle raids, you're going to be working on your Battle Legend medal, same thing with your Champion medal, but I would highly recommend doing raids actually with a friend to work on your Rising Star Duo medal. Win 2,000 raids with a friend. Pikachu is in the raid, so if you do Pikachu raids, you can work on your Pikachu fan medal. And remember, if you actually receive a Pikachu from a trade, it works on this medal as well. Finally, if you see any showcases this weekend, highly recommend you drop into them. They will be probably very competitive, but you can work on your showcase star medal, win 100 Pokestop showcases to get you that PhD Pikachu encounter. Now, before the event, highly recommend you go into your advanced settings and you download all assets to have a smooth gameplay experience, and also turn on native refresh rate so your phone uses your phone's native refresh rate. Going to make for a smoother gameplay. Also, activate a buddy that's at least the Great Buddy level this weekend. This will give you access to the Buddy Catch Assist feature, which means if you hit a Pokemon when it's attacking, sometimes your buddy can bounce it back, saving you that Pokeball. Now, adventure effects is a huge discussion of this weekend. Which adventure effects should you have active? Well, if you're going to be going after the Pokemon spawns, you can obviously go with Spatial Rend. This will double your spawn distance from 40 to 80 meters, but most likely people are not going to be going after the wild spawns as much when there's so much Dynamax to go after. I would focus on Ice Burn or Freeze Shock Adventure Effect. Ice Burn will give you a 1.5 times catch multiplier and Freeze Shock a 1.25 times catch multiplier. If you're going to be catching a lot of GMAX Pokemon, this is going to be amazing because it'll make it easier to catch them, especially when you only have like 10 to 12 Premier Balls to catch them. On top of that, this allows you to use Pineapple Berries when catching your Gigantamax Pokemon because they're going to be easier to catch, so you can afford to not use a Golden Raspberry and you can use a Pineapple or a Silver Pineapple Berry. So that's the adventure effect I would focus on. However, if you are struggling in max battles to take down and you need more power, Behemoth Blade or Behemoth Bash are not a bad idea. These will give you a 10% attack boost in raids and 5% attack boost in max battles, and the opposite for Behemoth Bash with defense. However, these adventure effects are getting a huge buff during this event. If you go up to tier 3 of the Go Pass, it says that you're going to be doing a lot more. It just says that these adventure effects will be more potent, which means this 10% boost could go to like 20, 25. We don't know the exact numbers, but overall, if you need extra firepower, these would be the adventure effects I would activate this weekend. If you're in a rural community, this is the way to go. On top of that, if you're in a rural community, I would highly recommend you go ahead and use Max Mushrooms. This will double all the damage you're doing in max battles for 30 minutes. If you have access to them, they're really going to help in rural communities. On top of that, partying up with your friends in rural communities is going to be amazing because in raid battles, it'll give you access to Party Play, which Party Play gives you a double damage boost in raid battles every time you charge the Party Play meter. So if you're in a rural area, there are still ways to take on these battles. You're just going to need to be using the extra multipliers, and all of this stuff does stack. On the topic of Party Play is essential during this event because it's an amazing way to grind resources. First of all, let me explain the resources you can get from GMAX battles. Every time you defeat a GMAX battle, you get 25,000 XP, 25,000 Stardust. You can spend 200 Pokecoins to double this, and you can also increase this by using a Lucky Egg and a Star Piece for a total max amount of 100,000 XP and 75,000 Stardust for a GMAX battle if you take advantage of everything. Obviously, that costs money, but still. This event is 8 hours. If you complete like 6 GMAX battles every single hour, you can get up to like 2.4 million XP and 1.8 million Stardust with a Lucky Egg and Star Piece active. And if you're doubling that, that's just double that. Like, the rewards are insane. So I highly recommend you have a Star Piece and a Lucky Egg active during this event. And if you have the money, you can double the coins and double the rewards as well. It's not bad to do, but again, it's not essential. The best way to use Lucky Eggs and Star Pieces though is through Party Play. If you share an item in a party, you get double the value of it. If I use a Lucky Egg on myself, I get 30 minutes. If I share a Lucky Egg in a party, everyone gets 15 minutes. That's a total of 1 hour. So you're doubling your value. So the best strategy is to team up, coordinate with trainers, and if everybody in a party uses 4 Lucky Eggs and 4 Star Pieces, everyone in that party gets 4 hours of Lucky Egg and 4 hours of Star Piece. This is going to be huge value on your items, doubling the value of them. So if you're going to be grinding resources during this event or doing a lot of GMAX battles, party up with your friends to take advantage of party power, but also go ahead and share the items. Also, if you're a free-to-play player, remember to maximize your max particles from this weekend. First of all, I would Friday not do any GMAX battles or whatever. Save those max particles you can, bring them into the weekend, use them then. You want to save as many max particles you can into that weekend. Also, anytime you get a research and it gets you max particles, or in the Go Pass it gets you max particles, leave those in the research. Only claim them when you're ready to use them. This will be some extra storage of max particles you can use and save to do more max battles. But also, you can maximize the daily max particles you get. The strategy is as follows. If you come into this menu here and you click here, it'll show you how many max particles you can collect, and this will change as you collect more. This is a soft cap. It says 1,600 max particles for the day. I can actually collect more. The strategy involves you getting as close to the 1,600 max particle collection limit, or whatever your limit is, but not go over, like 100 less, 200 less, whatever. And then you want to claim your 300 max particles, or whatever the biggest amount of max particles you can claim. I do believe we're going to be getting more max particles from power spots during the event, so probably 800 max particles, and you can collect those 800 max particles and it'll take you way over the limit. It's called a soft cap, by going as close to the limit as you can and then collecting a huge lump sum of max particles through hitting a power spot to go over that limit. This will allow you for a bunch of extra max particles every single day to take on the battles, and you can do this on Saturday and on Sunday. It's all just going to depend on what our limit ends up being, which I can't tell you right now because we have to wait for the event to start. Now, Lechonk Spotlight Hour is August 26th from 6 to 7 p.m. So any GMAX Pokemon, any Zacian, Zamazenta, any Pokemon you catch during this event, don't transfer them right after the event. Wait until Lechonk Spotlight Hour, August 26th, with 2 times transfer candy. Transfer them then for 2 candies instead of 1. Also, do be wary during this event of joining remote raid max battles. GMAX Pokemon are hard to take on. I don't want people losing the remote raid pass when you're joining a max lobby and people have just Dynamax Wooloos to defeat Eternatus. This Pokemon is going to be hard to take on, so I'd highly recommend your best bet is to find vetted, good communities, good groups of people, your local community. Make sure everybody's using the correct counters. If you know what you're talking about, get out there and help people to make sure their parties are correct, so you guys can all work together to make sure that everybody everybody is successfully completing the battles. If you are looking for communities, by the way, the best way, of course, is through Campfire. If you go on Campfire and you sort by meetups, you can find local community meetups where people will be meeting up to do these Gigantamax and Max battles. This is the best way to the best way to find people to take on these battles. And if you go to the ones hosted by a community ambassador with the little rewards tab, when you check into those meetups, you will be able to get a timed research that gets you 800 free max particles. Very useful. That's an extra GMAX or Eternatus to take on. So I highly recommend you do that if you can. Now, I've talked a lot about a lot of things, and this event honestly is probably overwhelming for a lot of people. It's overwhelming for me talking about it right now. But remember, the number one thing with all these tips, you could just throw them completely aside. It's about having fun. This event is a free event, so play it however you want. Do whatever you want and have the most amount of fun as you can. If you're not having fun, I would highly recommend you go home or you go do something else, because it's just not worth wasting your life doing something that you're not enjoying. I know that max battles can be very, very frustrating for a lot of trainers, especially rural trainers who don't have access to these giant communities. So I hope if you are a rural trainer, you're able to remote raid in. But for any of you smaller communities, I hope you guys are still able to have a fun time. Just remember, if you use the proper preparation, use all those damage buffs and all those things I talked about, it is still very, very possible to have a great max finale event. Watch these other two videos on screen if you want to learn more about Pokemon Go, and we'll catch you on the next one. Good luck this weekend. Follow for more tips. Peace.